speaking with Yoav Goren, who is the president and founder of Immediate Music, and thanks so much for talking with me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
So, tell me how did Immediate Music came to be, and uh, why did you decide to start a music production company?
Well, it was actually I can't believe it, but it was actually 20 years ago that I myself and my partner Jeffrey Feynman started writing together. Our express interest at that time was to be film composers. We shared the same kind of sensibilities, same types of soundtracks, and but we brought it from slightly different angles, and we found that we really worked well together.
Hmm.
In order to get to that point where we could regularly get score some jobs, basically get some film work, we thought that a stepping stone towards that might be working on trailers. Now, my partner Jeff had worked on trailers previously, on some B movie trailers, and he thought that that would be a good kind of entryway if we can get into with a couple of trailer houses in LA, and there weren't that many back then.
Hmm.
So there were a handful of trailer houses that were doing the work, and we thought that we could offer a cool kind of demo reel of our work, and maybe they throw us some work every now and again. So um, we started on that road. We dropped off, I believe, even at that time. Gosh, I'm dating myself, but it was cassettes. Our demos were on cassette, and we dropped those off around town. And lo and behold, we got a call back from one place, and offered us to do a trailer. The first trailer we did was the Academy Awards trailer for 1993, I believe it was. Either
Wow.
92 or 93. Yeah, so they had a montage, and they wanted us to score it. And this was going into the theaters. It was going to show for a month before the Academy Awards presentation. So from there on, we started getting some other work and scoring trailers. And a couple of years into it, we discovered that we could just kind of write music on our own without any specific trailer assignment. And the clients on the trailer house side or on the studio side could actually just use that music as a basis for the soundtrack to their trailer without us having to write it. And so that's kind of out of that grew the whole impetus for the, let's call it the library, the production library of immediate music, which its sole purpose was to serve the trailer industry at the time.
Hmm.
So that's how we evolved as composers into producers. We're still obviously composers, but we oversee, you know, pretty sizable for trailer music, pretty sizable catalog, which the goal is to get music into trailers, and most of that is done through licensing at this point.
Right, and I mean, you guys were like the original. I remember growing up at the time before internet. You hear something, and you're like, I want to know what that is, and you don't know what it is, and you spend all this time searching for the music. And now, you guys are releasing. I mean, you've had previous albums, these Trailerhead albums, that
Yeah.
are finally bringing this. Did you expect to be such a huge interest in trailer music? I mean, I feel like a lot of people are like, wow, it's so it just resonates with people. It resonates with me too, just how
Yeah.
big and bold the music is. So when was it? When was the time right to start making the albums?
Well, it's interesting because for many, many years, and I apologize, there's a really large sanitation truck outside my window, so
No
I'm hoping
problem.
I'm coming through here. The For many, many years, we still are pretty much if you want to call it a B2B company. We work with other businesses. In other words, we license our music to the studios and to the trailer houses. And it was never kind of our goal to have a public, if you will, release,
Hmm.
because the studios like to feel that they're getting something exclusive that nobody else can have, and that way it remains unique to their campaigns, and it's not as watered down. So for that reason too, we didn't really distribute it even past the trailer houses and the film studios like a lot of libraries do. So it was really a chore to try to keep our music from being shared after a while, when the internet started coming around and peer to peer, and the whole genre became of interest to a lot of consumers, if you will.
Hmm.
And at that point, we really couldn't stop the floodgates um, of people wanting to get their hands on the music. And I remember early on, we were starting to get emails like, "Can I please buy this track from you?" And they mentioned a specific track that they saw in a specific trailer. And we really were just not set up to do that at all. It would really take a whole other person to field all that and to put stuff together. And if you're going to be a record label, then you have to do certain things. Um, but over time, that's exactly what happened, is that the demand started getting really big. And me as an artist as well, I was always kind of frustrated that I couldn't really share my music outside of 30 or 40 marketing executives in Hollywood.
Hmm.
So as an artist, I really wanted to share what over the years I've kind of developed my a style of writing and production. And the the confluence of events being the fact that the awareness of trailer music, the availability and the ease of use of downloading music through the internet, and the ability to kind of spread the word far and wide in a fairly short amount of time, primarily because the vehicles themselves, the trailers, were being carried all over the world, and kind of advertisement for my work, really. So it made sense at that time to go forward and just kind of open up a little record label and put out the first Trailerhead, which was in 2008, which was just a small collection of tracks that we had previously had released to our clients, even starting from 2003. So it was a compilation of some of my our proudest works, and from there I think I'm not taking credit for opening that world of trailer music out to the public, because certainly there were pioneers before me as well. But I think since that moment, we've just absolutely seen a burgeoning of this kind of music being put out commercially to the public.
Hmm. And I'm very happy that it is out to the public finally. And because I really think trailers are an underrated art form, and I think that trailers were better than they were, especially in the '90s. I feel like that was like the prime uh,
Mhm.
moment for trailers. How do you think that movie trailers have changed from the time you started in media music to
Oh,
now?
yeah. They've changed a lot. I mean, back in the 90s, and I agree with you, that was really a golden age of trailers. Not that it's not now, but it was really exciting back then, because we evolved from it being a kind of an afterthought, almost a marketing afterthought, to really, like you said, an art form.
Hmm.
It really did become a very, very creative 2.5 minute film with specific choices in pacing and visual style and music, of course. Back then, I think the emphasis was really about it being a cinematic, melodic approach. And over time, that's really kind of changed a little, quite a bit, to where today you have a lot of music and sound design, basically, that really strives to, let's say, emphasize what's going on screen with sound as opposed to melody more, I would
Hmm.
say, and not the big cinematic, kind of orchestral sound that we're used to. Although they're actually a very prevalent style today is what we call hybrid, where we have the real orchestra and a heavy dose of electronics. But it more trailers today are have moved away from the a thematic kind of undertone for the music. And I mean, I'm a melody guy, so I always like to see trailers that are, that give you that melody where it really reaches you emotionally. It's much more of a potent emotional reaction than scrapes and whooshes and really interesting kind of ear candy synth lines going on. But
Hmm.
I do that as well, and I enjoy it from a compositional perspective because it's challenging, and at the end of the day, it is creating a soundtrack for film basically. So it's but it really has changed over the years.
And also, what also has changed is I feel like there's not a lot less voice narration in trailers too. Such as the great Don LaFontaine, whose voice has been in so many trailers. How did that at the time, if, or even today, there are occasionally some narration. How does that affect the music when you're putting it underneath in such a short, compressed time? When in a world or stuff like that.
Right, right. I think it exposes the music more in a vertical way, as opposed to a horizontal kind of through line for the music with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and an arc of a thematic melody. Because there's no narration, you kind of divide the trailer into blocks, and the music is much more exposed and plays a more prevalent role. The same way that sound effects also play much more of a role these days. I think what did the narration in trailers in was the ubiquity of it. Really, it just
Hmm.
got so it became almost a parody of itself, like you said, the in a world phrase. It was just I mean everything, and you had to do it in that in a world kind of voice. you know it became too, I think it's a shifting style. I do like seeing it coming back a little bit, certainly not to the level where it was, but I think it's a stylistic choice. And when you see trailers, and I'll point to trailer, let's say the Battle LA trailer,
Hmm.
it's really, there's no, not only isn't there any voice, but there's just very, very kind of the soundtrack is so far away from what you really even hear in the film, that it's so stylistically done that it's interesting because it really does elevate it to a separate and unique art form than the film itself. And it's not really a matter like in the 50s where they used to show entire scenes in the trailer.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It really is snippets, and combining the picture and the music together. It's just kind of it's really a tease. It's much more of a teaser approach these days with trailers than it is about even divulging any kind of storyline. It's about the vibe of the film, and I'm seeing that more and more in trailers where it's just kind of creating an atmosphere that they think will reach a wide demographic in order to come see it on opening weekend, which is still the goal. The goal hasn't changed. It's just the method of getting there has really altered.
And so when you are composing for, I mean, I'm assuming that you have clients who come to you with a trailer and they say we need music, and then you have clients who come to you and they say we want to license your music. Do you have more people trying to get custom music, or do you have a lot more people licensing older pieces that you've done?
Well, currently, a lot of the campaigns really want to get a unique sound. What we're finding is, while we do still, license, I mean, I'm surprised by it almost on a daily basis how we license older pieces that everybody's heard a million times.
Hmm.
But, there is a very astute need for a unique branding audio for a trailer. So that's why custom is not gone away. As a matter of fact, I feel that it's really coming back because of the need to have a unique audio brand for the trailer. So either they're looking for something brand new that has not been even released to all the other trailer companies yet, or they'll come to us with the custom request. Or also we get a lot of requests to alter existing pieces of music,
Mm-hmm.
that to kind of customize it or specialize it for the picture. So we'll start with an existing piece because we do a lot of productions, high kind of high quality productions with orchestras and choirs and stuff like that. And they sound pretty good, but they may not be just matching up to film to their trailer. So we're called in to tweak, sometimes a little more than tweaking, sometimes doing more recording, changing entire melody lines out or arrangements out, because let's say they start, they like the feel of the percussion, but then they want this changed, or melody going there or stopping there, and so we get a fair amount of requests like that. I'd say that mostly though it's still about licensing, and that was a conscious decision of ours to really kind of create, almost to dictate what your trailer should sound like
Right, right.
by pre-creating these pieces and hoping that we're right, and every project, every project, it's a new kind of adventure for us. We're hoping that we're right. And so far, touch wood, we've been right for almost 20 years now. So
So do you have like a certain structural formula for different genres? Do you like, all right, we're gonna do maybe some drama things that could be used in a drama trailer, drama film, or some action, some sci-fi? So do you have like a kind of a, I guess, a bank of ideas for every genre?
yeah, I would say a an understood kind of, let's call it, instrumentation group, or kind of a feeling of what differentiates a drama cue from an action cue, from an epic, epic dramatic cue, or a sci-fi cue. So there are those kind of tools, and it's really the sense that both my partner Jeff and I have of what constitutes what. But we may not get it right either all the time, and it's sometimes you'll have, a horror, you can have a sci-fi trailer, and they'll totally go a different way than what we think is sci-fi music. So you really have to kind of not limit yourself to historical boundaries in all these genres, because things are really changing, pretty quickly, and styles and trends, and people don't want to sound like they did 5 years ago even. So you have to really keep on your toes, and that's really a great part of this industry. Is it really challenges you as a composer and a producer, and keeps you, focused on the now, really. The great thing about, for me, the aspect of releasing music on Trailerhead, and we've got our new Trailerhead Triumph release, actually released today, October 30, is that I'm able to go apart from the trailer industry. I'm able to just present, what maybe are my favorite pieces that I've done over the last few years, that other composers have done, that we've produced, and presented just as, let's call it, epic music, without having to conform to what in the industry is going on right now. So I kind of have the best of both worlds, and I'm really, grateful that I'm able to live in those both worlds, as both as an industry, composer, and also as a, if you will, just an artist.
Hmm. And I mean, it's great, yeah, that the music can now kind of breathe on its own and then have its own life, because it's true that I do sense that the industry kind of dictates what it wants. And I mean, I have to ask you a very recent influence that I've noticed, and I'm sure you might be sick of it, but Inception was such a huge
Yeah.
influence on trailers, and I felt like every trailer I heard was, brom, brom, and I'm just like, enough,
Yeah, yeah.
So how many? I mean, do clients come up to you but like, we want an Inception trailer, and then kind of like you just have to like, okay, like how do you
Yeah,
deal
yeah,
with that?
it's a great question, because I think the window of time of influence of a certain cue in a trailer has gotten really short. For instance, the Inception trailer was really, everybody wanted something like that for up until a year after,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just kind of dropped off the table. Because again, it almost becomes almost a parody of itself. I mean, another great example is a lot of our big orchestra and choir cues. It's funny, we found a lot of them being used in comedy trailers,
Hmm.
because the style of, oh, hey, oh, ah, ah,
Yeah, yeah.
it was used like as a setup, you know as if we're going into this dramatic music, then they break into this R&B tune or a pop song. It's like, haha, we were just kind of setting you up on that,
Right.
as if this is a big important movie, but no, it's actually a kind of a silly fun movie. So yeah, it I'm thankful that the trend is more like, we've heard that before, let's try to get something new, or the industry challenges, companies like mine and others in the field to innovate, which is a great gift, actually.
And which I think you guys set up the voice, I think the true voice of trailer music, which, I mean, there's plenty of other great music houses now that do music, but I really think that you guys did it, started it all. For at least for me, when I was growing, I was a '90s kid, so that was my music for every time I went to the movies and I saw one of those trailers, I'm like, yes.
Right,
And
right.
you'd pick up the recurring ones. But I guess looking back, is there any particular trailer in your memory that really sticks out as something special?
Well, I think um, there's a couple really over the years. Believe it or not, in the mid '90s, I'm really proud of the trailer we did for Waterworld, which was a huge flop.
Hmm.
But at the time, there was a lot of energy and money put into that trailer. It was a big deal. But obviously, they didn't know it was going to be a flop, right?
Right.
It was a massive budget film, and they put a lot of time and effort, and we actually scored part of it and licensed music to the rest of it. So we kind of had the whole trailer. And one of the cool things about it is one of our cues in there uh, really hit a nerve with the producers so much that they had the film's composer do the thematic opening for the film was really very much based on our track that we had composed for the trailer, including using the same female vocalist that sang on our track was on the film soundtrack. So that was a nice moment that kind of I felt like we had arrived. And then the other real pivotal moment for us was the Spider-Man 2 trailer back in, gosh, when was that? 2003, 4, something like that.
I remember that trailer very, very well. Yeah.
Because that was, we had just finished recording a very big, a week of recording with orchestra and choir. It was a very big expense. It was a gamble for us, and it really paid off because the music really was used as we had hoped it was. It was featured at the back end of a trailer. It was a full kind of 45-second usage. There was no narration, no explosions. It was just music and visuals, and it was a fantastic showcase for that track. And the track is called Lacrimosa, and it really kind of established our what we called our themes for orchestra and choir series as it's kind of a go-to. This is how you want your trailer to sound. And since then, we've been putting out these big kind of budget productions, and I'm just so lucky to be able to do that for so long and to realize my musical aspirations through recording with on these big productions with orchestra and choir and phenomenal session musicians and engineers. It's just a blast. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's thousands of placements we've had, but just off the cuff, I can think of those two as pivotal. Also, I will mention another thing. I'm very proud that we had either scored or licensed music for every single one of the Harry Potter films, including the last one, which contains a track that's on this our release, Trailerhead Triumph, coming out today as well. So yeah, there's been a lot of great moments. Whenever I start talking about it and thinking about it, I really just feel so abundantly lucky to be able to have experienced it.
So, and to wrap up, I always like to ask composers, you're a composer, you're a musician. If you had the chance to compose any film ever made, with no disrespect to the original composer, which film would you choose?
Wow, that's a great question. I've never been asked that. Hmm. Now, it could be taken as, which film score do you admire most and you'd like to take a shot at it too, or which film you like, but the music doesn't really do it for you, and I think I'll go with the former, and I'll say, Um, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh wow, that's one of my favorite scores of all time. Yeah.
Mine too. So, hats off to the maestro Ennio Morricone, a very big influence on me. And boy, if I could get a chance to do that, that's where I'd go.
It's, I'm so surprised no one has said that, so I'm very happy he said that. But Yoav, thank you so much for your time. It was a great honor and a great pleasure to talk to you and talk to one of the people behind the music that has been a part of my life, my friends' lives. Just going to some movies and enjoying the movies and everything. So thank you so much.
Oh, great! I'm honored. Thank you very much, and I hope to continue doing it, and and thank you to everybody out there that has enabled me to continue doing it.